Hi everyone and welcome to Seat 11A. My name is Sanjay, I'm your host for today and I will be joined shortly by Marvin Tams, co-founder of SurfEra. As you're already aware, we conducted already an interview with Eirik, team member of SurfEra, and you will find this interview just below. Today, Marvin will walk us through his presentation, which includes the market environment, a detailed outlook on the business case, and Series A and B funding requirements. Great to see you, Marvin, and thanks for joining. So let me just right into it. And before you start with your presentation, maybe you can share with us something about your personal background.
Yes, glad to be here. Thanks for the possibilities to present our information about SurfEra and the status quo. My name is Marvin Tams, and I am one of the two co-founders of SurfEra. My responsibility areas cover mainly the topics of finance, strategic business development, and of course the strategic stakeholder coordination throughout the entire process until operation of this surf park. I have several masters in engineering, for example, civil and energy engineering, as well as facilities management. And I would tell you a secret, even though I didn't catch any wave using a surfboard or even stand on any surfboard yet, I have a huge development for this incredible project. And my heart is really beating for this incredible major project. And this will facilitate that have a specific view on this project with its challenging problems and issues. And in fact, with the help of Eirik, we are having the possibility to ensure to find the right solutions for every problems we are facing on the very, very challenging way until we have build and operate the surf park itself in Berlin. And this will bring us to the short presentation.
Thanks for the presentation. And so the floor is yours. Just enlarge the presentation and please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, we have to check the problem. Actually, Eirik already maybe told you about the problem itself, so I will just summarize just for you to have a good introduction to this presentation. So in fact, many people are aware that surfing and its lifestyle itself become increasingly popular in the past years. Many of them, they don't know that this particular sport is challenging major problems. One of the major problems is to describe very simple with an equation. So on the one hand, you have the natural sports, which are limited worldwide and have reduced capacities for the surfers. And on the other hand, we have the very fast growing fellowship of surfers seeking for waves. And there is a pretty match between it, but the problem is that the demand is much higher than the actual offer of waves on the natural spots. And not all surfers are privileged to live close by the natural surf spots, so these are called landlocked surfers. For example, here in Germany as well, we have no attractive opportunities for surfing in the water. Even in the Baltic Sea, there are no attractive waves for the surfers. So many of them are really landlocked surfers and they are facing lengthy trips. And once they arrived on shore, they're often confronted with overcrowded surf spots and the eternal wait for the perfect surf. Overcrowded surf spots can be described as this picture. You can see the lineups with many, many surfers, and they are fiercely contesting every perfect wave coming into the ocean. And this is actually the problem, because these fiercely contesting and battle for the waves will actually lead to a growing number of accidents. And in fact, it will bias the motivation of the surfers, having so lengthy and burdensome trips to the natural surf spots. And simply spoken, we have the problem of surfing the growing demand for waves in a sustainable manner. And that's why artificial wave technologies have been invented in the past years, which will bring us to the international market development. As already mentioned, surfing is gradually evolving into a lifestyle, and that is becoming more and more popular worldwide, which can be underlined with this figure here. You can see the number of active surfers worldwide. They're growing starting from 9 million in 2004 until 50 million, which is a prediction for 2025. And when it comes to the entire surf market, many people think, okay, it is just catching waves and standing on surfboards and drinking a beer afterwards. No, it's not. It's actually a multi-billion-dollar market, because the reason for this is that many people can identify with the specific lifestyle of freedom and of surfing without exercising actually the sport. So many people have clothes from well-known brands like Billabong, Quiksilver, Ripcord, O'Neill, and so on and so on. And these mentioned companies are among the top 20 textile manufacturers, which makes this market to a multi-billion market and very attractive. And actually, the market of surfing started a new evolution era, which can be seen here in 2015, when we see the number of active surfers worldwide more than doubled in 2015, which was the time that the so-called surf parks using artificial wave technologies, and they are sprout from the ground like mushrooms. And these parks define the new way of surfing in the future, actually, because as already mentioned, we have the problem that the limited surf spots have reduced capacities for the surfers, and we have to provide a sustainable substitute to the high demand of surfers. And this is why, because now surfing is possible anywhere at any time, and that ensures a growing numbers of surfers, which means we have no problem with landlocked surfers anymore, because with surf parks, we can put any surf park in the world, providing access for surfers, even at spots where they have no entrance to natural surf spots. And what we can see is that in 2015, the number already doubled, as mentioned, which was the year when the first public accessible surf park opened in Great Britain, which is actually in the middle of nowhere. And the funny thing is that the expectation of visitors in the first year has been doubled. And the point is, actually, it is in the middle of nowhere and can only be actually entered and accessed by a car only. And the next town is 2 to 3 years away from the spot, actually. And the fun thing is that we, as already mentioned, they doubled the expectation of visitors, which underlined the fact that surfing is just more than the sport. It is the lifestyle and the vibration which brings the sports to the entire market right now. And since that point in 2015, many manufacturers spend a lot of time and money to do a research for the artificial wave technologies, which end up that they create better waves in a more efficient wave and attracting more surfers in their wave pool. And the actual year 2019 was very exciting year, because the second surf park opened to the public with a complete new technology, which they are able to generate up to 1,000 waves per hour, which means they provide a lot of capacities for roughly 80 surfers at the present time, staying in the pool and catching perfect waves, which means they have no more battles for the waves. They have no more fiercely contestants, and they just enjoying every wave coming into the set. And even though the surf park near Bristol is currently only accessible using a car as well, they expecting 300,000 visitors per year, which is very exciting. And we have similarities or similar conditions in Australia, where another surf park opened near Melbourne in this year 2020 in January. They're expecting 300,000 visitors as well, using the same technology. So what we can say is
all of the growth, the exponential growth, which we're going to see, is due to a technological advancement, right?
That is sure. It underlines that the market is growing. It is still growing, and the number of active surfers will grow. But this will be ensured, a sustainable growth, and the demand for the waves will be ensured by the high number of planned surf parks worldwide. So there is a positive correlation, of course, yes. And we can say that these surf parks actually define a new real estate product. And I will come back to this specific point when we talk about our concept and our business case. And as already mentioned, just to underline the potential of the exciting market, we did a proper research of all public known surf park projects. And we know that in 2020, more than 60 surf parks are already known, that they are different stages of planning or building, and they are going to go online within the next 4 years. So we actually at the beginning of this exciting new area of artificial wave surfing as a sustainable substitute of natural surf parks. And when we come to the actual market on the national side, so in Germany especially, we can say Germany is always a promising market for new technologies, especially for exciting technologies. This is based on the fact that actually German citizens are characterized by being very curious about new things and testing all the new technologies available on the market. And therefore, surf parks have pervaded the surfing lifestyle in Germany as well in the past weeks and years. And at the present time, we can say currently 4 surf parks are publicly known that are in different stages, and they are spread in the north, in the south, in the east, and in the west. And all projects are facing the same problem. The problem is that due to the fact that the market is very new, there is no existing blueprint how to build the perfect surf park. That means each project has its own approach of planning and building a surf park, but in one topic they are all likely the same, focusing on a strong primary market, providing a huge potential of visitor numbers. I will come back to this point later on, because it is very, very important to know that these surf parks are a multifunctional development which consumes a lot of money for the investment. And for having a proper return on this investment, we need a very strong potential visitor market, that we are not attracting only the surfers, but attracting people that are facing or that are actually want to get in touch with the lifestyle, want to get in touch the first time with surfing itself. And the big advantage when we talk about a surf era project, we have the advantage that we're the only surf park project in the metropolitan area of Berlin. And Berlin is a very attractive metropolitan area, not only in Germany, but also in Europe, because we have the opportunity to attract 6.5 million inhabitants and up to 14 million tourists per year. And what we can say is, even though we have here on the map shown 4 surf parks in different stages using a different approach with starting finding land and funding and also on, we can say the market is not competitive yet. But on the contrary, actually all projects will have the positive effect on each other, because they ensure that the surf park will receive more attention in the German society. And what we did is actually, we did a very proper research on the market driver for the national market here in Germany. And one thing is really obvious and for sure. The announcement of surfing as an Olympic discipline will be a greatest push. And it will affect not only the number of surfers, but also the significance of the sport and lifestyle itself. So it means the first time it will be in Tokyo, 2021. Actually, it was scheduled for 2020, but due to the current situation, it was postponed to 2021. The first time surfing will be exercised officially as the Olympic discipline. And it will be a great effect on the growing number of surfers. So that we can say here in 2015, we stand at 420,000 surfers, not only in Germany. And we will have predictions based on the fact that we have surfing as an Olympic discipline. It will be more than double to nearly 1 million surfers only in Germany. And another important thing is that these drivers will have more and more people think about their way of life and work. So we call it a work-life balance. And this is an omnipresent topic. And people becoming more wealthier, and they're willing to spend more money and more time on leisure, sports, and entertainment activities, which can be underlined with this figure. It shows from 2003 until 2017, with another prediction to 2023, that we have an increasing of the annual turnover of leisure parks in different topics in Germany. that reflects actually that, for example, we have in Germany the tropical island, which is in the middle of nowhere in Brandenburg, but it is providing a space to hide away from the daily routine, from your daily habitants, and it will help to recharge your battery. And this is actually a very attractive point, already said, in the middle of Brandenburg, but it will attract more than 1.2 million people, not only in Germany, but coming from Eastern Europe, just traveling to this spot because it is so attractive and it works actually as a lighthouse. And these are market drivers to say, okay, we have to enter with surf parks as well to this very promising market. That will bring us to our focus on our business performance. And we said we have the privilege that we are the only surf park currently in Europe in the metropolitan area. And the metropolitan area is already described as Berlin. With all these numbers we have mentioned already, we attracting surfers, active surfers in this area. We attracting a lot of inhabitants between the ages of 15 and 65, which are the primary customers of our market. And we're talking about 40 million tourists every year, which is very attractive. And first of all, when we talk about our business case, we understood that the surf parks come along with nature investments, and profitable operations is not possible with focusing only on existing surfers. As you can see in the figure before, we have 420,000 surfers right now, and they are spread around Germany. But not only to focus on the surfer itself has to be the important point, because we have to broaden up our services to attract a wide range of different kind of customer segments. And using the wave pool itself actually as a visitor's magnet, we have to combine this magnet with very known and proven services that will add great value to the entire project, so that we have the opportunity to produce a lot of revenue streams, to have a strong turnover per year. And therefore, we will work together with well-known partners covering, for example, a very attractive food court to provide culinary diversity on a various restaurants. And for example, working with other strategic partners together, providing accommodations and providing awareness and recreation, and providing, for example, events and co-working spaces, because all these services can be combined with the surf park itself to make it a multifunctional area. And the main goal is actually to provide our visitors the perfect stay that they will be remembered until they visit us again, and to provide them a space to hide away from their daily routine and to try something new, because surfing in this particular spot with the artificial wave technology is completely new to this world. And besides the fact that our concept considers diversified offers, we would like to ensure a year-round operation, as already mentioned in our USPs. So we're using a retractable roof construction, and especially in Germany and other countries in Europe, the autumn and the winter can be really, really strong with low temperatures and rainy and snowy days. And our park will operate independently from any weather conditions to ensure a great business performance throughout the entire year. And this will bring us to our framework of our numbers and our assumptions. We seek to attract more than 500,000 visitors per year, based on the fact, for example, as we mentioned in earlier slides, the first surf park opened last year in Bristol is attracting 300,000 visitors per year, but is actually in the middle of nowhere, accessible only by car. We attracting a lot bigger market, with the primary market talking about this 6.5 million inhabitants, and we have access to directly the primary market of Berlin, using not only the car but also using public transportation and trains. And we say that the park is accessible using various ticket options we provide, starting from only surfing or having other services like adding wellness or dinner or overnight stay. And the average revenue stream per visitor per year is 31.40 euros. And when we consider this, plus the figure that we have, the point that we want to provide the surf park as a platform to proceed, having the opportunity to let some spaces to the strategic partners like restaurants and event spaces and so on, we would like to make revenues from having proceeds for advertising of this surf park. For example, naming rights could be to any manufacturers or so on. So we are completely flexible, but we consider the point that we can have earnings from advertising. And when we have the equation together, we produce an annual turnover for 20 million euros per year, with an EBITDA margin varies around 18% and reflects the actual business performance without considering any operational and rental fees. And I will come back later on to this specific point when we talk about the Surf Era holding structure and revenue streams especially. And when we come to, this was actually the rough framework, when we come to the precise numbers, we can say that our advantage is a very strong sales distribution. So we are not only focusing on ticketing, selling for using any services in the surf park, for example, surfing or any other services. We say we need a very strong distribution using other services like cafe, merchandise, equipment sales, and letting and naming rights, as already mentioned. We provide also the flexibility to adapt to certain environmental constraints that can affect the operation of surf parks. For example, the current situation with the COVID-19, it has actually a negative effect on the operation of surf parks. And we have to find solutions to overcome these situations. And what we can say is that these figures here, the net sales in euros and the EBITDA in euros, shows a very conservative growth based on our assumption of visitors' expectations. So we expect that we have to prove in the first 5 business years that we can attract at least 500 to 550,000 visitors per year, with a break even around roughly 400,000 visitors. So this is the break even we need to cover our expenses. Any questions so far to these figures from your side, Sanjay?
Yeah, I was looking at the cash flow figure, and there's a massive jump between year 3 and year 4. Maybe you can explain this jump. Was it the growth of the cash flow in year 4 is quite substantially, and keeping it on this high level?
Yeah. Let me check this about. So when we have the cash flow here, and the figure shows this here for the first 5 business years, and we have here the jump from the 3rd to the 4th year, you mean this? It considers that we have investments on the surf park itself for the first 2 years when it comes to equipment and so on, and we consider these investments throughout our cash flow in the first 2 years. But in the fourth year, we have no more investments to be done. This is why we have a cash flow jump in a positive way. Okay,
and the EBITDA should be then higher as well over the long run, or do you think this is a natural ceiling between 17 and 19%?
Yeah, that's the actual appearance of the EBITDA margin we have considered when we just focus on our business case without any services provided by strategic partners. So we produce income from these revenue streams, from ticket selling, from operating own cafe, from merchandise, from equipment rentals, and we will have rental incomes from our strategic partners like accommodation and food court. But this is not considered in our turnover. So our turnover is 20 million per year, and this will consider the EBITDA margin.
Okay, and my last question would be on this chart. So you're forecasting 2% revenue growth over the next couple of years with an EBITDA margin between 17 and 19%. Do you have any comparable figures of Bristol or other operators which could underpin this kind of forecast?
What we can say is, as already mentioned, we have the strong numbers from the very first surf park in Bristol, in Britain, which have expectations of around 100,000 visitors in the first year, and they doubled the expectations in the first year of operation. And we also have first numbers from the surf park in Bristol, but these numbers considering actually the situation of COVID-19, which makes it a very unfair comparable. But at the end of the day, we have other comparables. For example, the numbers from Tropical Island in Germany, which has strong growth numbers in visitors and in the strong growth of net sales. And we have other comparables when it comes, for example, to similar entertainment parks like it is called the Jochen Schweizer Arena near Munich, which is providing similar events using surfing in another way as a magnet for visitors, and they have very strong numbers when it comes to net sales and expectations for further visitors in the next years. That will underpin our numbers and our growth. But as already mentioned, we want to provide a very conservative growth and want to show that still with this conservative growth, our business performance very attractive to many investors. I hope this will answer your question. When it comes to the roadmap, we have been done so far, and we are happy to announce that we received large proportions of federal governmental funds to develop our business case. And we are able to convince a project developer, several prestigious engineers and architects, as well as our first business angel with our appearance and unique actually project concept. And all in all, we can say by now roughly 400,000 euros have been spent to this project and brought us to this position right now. And the business case with all the necessary assumptions and numbers and the entire concept of our surf park and its USPs that already have been mentioned by Eirik have been developed and proven so far. So furthermore, a very detailed process of pre-selecting land options in the metropolitan area of Berlin have been completed as well. And upcoming roadmap will show that we are starting with our Series A funding to raise money for the next necessary project milestones when it comes to the next 12 months. And considering actually the acquisition of the land based on the pre-selection we have done, and I will show the outcome of the pre-selection phase. And it will start with the detailed planning on the selected land option, and it will initiate the Series B funding round with the overall goal to raise the money needed for building the surf park itself. And when it comes to Series A and Series B, we're actually talking about to seek in Series A 500,000 euros and in Series B around 80 to 100 million. So it depends on the precise cost indications which has been made in the context of the detailed planning to be done in the next milestones. And the actual overall goal is to open the surf park in July 2024 after successful completion and testing.
This will be also the time when the next Olympics will be, right? So this could be quite a nice overlap.
This will be a great push-up when we can say, okay, many surf parks, as already mentioned in earlier slides, will open within the next 4 years. So it will be the actual drive we have to consider in our backup. And we are actually at the right time, at the right spot to say with our concept. And this is our big advantage. I would say that the market is still growing and we are still at the beginning, and we have a very strong product to establish the market, not only in Germany, but also worldwide.
Would you say that your product or your surf park is different than those which are being developed at the moment in Germany? Is the difference that you have a roofing, or is the technology different, or what's the difference factor?
Yes, the main USPs we can say is that we defined our own concept, which we not only focus the surface itself, but we provide a broadened services to attract many visitors as possible. And our biggest USP, as you already mentioned, is to operate year-round, which means we have the retractable roof construction, and this makes us really unique on the entire market in the world. There is no surf park right now planned or built or in the future that considers such a roof construction as we consider it. So this will be the biggest advantage, not only for the German market, but also when it comes to the big vision, when we want to develop further surf parks worldwide.
Interesting. Yeah.
When it comes to the pre-selection phase, as already mentioned, it took several months to identify which land option would be the perfect match for our surf park with our concept. We identified 4 very attractive land options, each having a very unique character and each having very different benefits and come along with them. And we can say right now our favorite is actually in Fürstenwalde, which is quite near to Berlin. When it comes to the pre-selection phase we conducted in the past months, we can say the output of this process was that we identified 4 very attractive possibilities in Berlin and around Berlin, which have each having a unique character and come along with different benefits. And we can say by now that Fürstenwalde, which is very close to Berlin, is our favorite right now because we enjoy a great support by the political statements like the major, and we have very great options for the land in Fürstenwalde, and we have a very strong opportunity to start with the building construction within the next, let's say, 12 to 14 months, which makes this opportunity very attractive compared to other options in Berlin or around Berlin. And our idea is that we will have a letter of intent by the city of Fürstenwalde by end of this year, which will actually tell the important terms when it comes to transferring the land options to surf area and starting with our surf park construction.
I can see that all the different lands have different size structures. So like in Berlin, Olympic Park has 3 hectares and Brandenburg 10 hectares. So do you have to downsize or upsize your model to adjust to these kind of land structures, or is it fit for one all?
That is another big advantage of our concept. We are flexible to adapt to certain environmental constraints. But we can say the perfect match, the perfect size for our surf park concept we have developed so far is around 4 to 5 hectares, which means 40 to 50,000 square meters, which are required. And as you said here in Berlin, we had the opportunity, or we have the opportunity to start our surf park operations in the Olympic Park, but then we have only 30,000 square meters available, which means we have to downsize our concept, which means again, we have to cut out main important services, which actually is there to attract broadened visitors. So therefore, we actually did the decision that Fürstenwalde is currently the perfect match for us, and this is why we proceed with this option further. And the next process, as already mentioned, is the letter of intent process with the city itself. And another process is already initiated. This is the due diligence of the land option itself, starting from, let's say, identify all the constraints and identify what are the major drivers to start as soon as possible with our construction. And when it comes to the Series A funding round, we already mentioned we're seeking for 500,000 euros for the next 12 months. And our goal is actually to complete the Series A funding in the next 3 to 4 months. And the breakdown is as follows. We need 200,000 for personal cost, and we need another 300,000 for the operational cost and consulting fees, considering, for example, the engineering, architecture and project developer fees to initiate the detailed planning phase so that we can start as soon as possible with the actual construction phase. And the benefit for the integration of the investor would be that he is invested on the very highest level on the Surfera holding structure, because when it comes to the investment, we are talking here about private equity, for example, especially venture capital, because we are actually, when it comes to the entire project roadmap, we're actually at the very beginning of the project. Even though we have done so many substance in the past 3 years, it is still a long, challenging way, but we are convinced about that we are on the right path, and with strong partners like a great investor, which will bring not only money, but also competences in several fields we need to. We think that this would be a perfect match to integrate the investor on the high level, to have an eye-to-eye contact with the investor at all time. This is the benefit we can provide the investors right now.
Yeah. What is the role of the business angel? I recognize FST as being a company which was in the Siemens conglomerate years before.
Yeah. As already mentioned, our appearance and our project concept were able to convince the business angel to say, okay, ready. I'm ready to invest money into this very early stages to push forward the project into the right position. And as you mentioned, this is a subsidiary of Siemens, producing components which can be very important when it comes to the building phase of the surf park. So when it comes to the energy concept, this business angel can be an important driver for this entire stage. This is the advantage of the business angel right now, besides the money he spent. And when it comes to the actual revenue streams and the actual structure of Surfera, I would like to share some important information. The vision of Surfera is actually to become a global player for planning and developing surf and leisure parks worldwide, using its own developed concept. And with its already defined USPs, with the retractable roof construction, with the flexibility, besides the other services we want to provide, we have to prove that our surf park with our concept is profitable. And this is why we want to prove this concept in Berlin. And once this is proven, we can activate the B2B services, and the B2B potential is great. As already mentioned, we are at the very beginning of the new promising market of surf parks worldwide. And the breakdown of Surfera vision is that we have a subsidiary which is focusing on the development of the surf park concept at each destination worldwide. And we have another subsidiary which is focusing on the operational concept for each and every destination, because each surf park in the world will have different environmental constraints, and it have to consider the actual environment, the actual visitor habitants, and so on. And this is why we need specific concepts for each and every destination. And the concept has to be planned, and we have to prove that our concept of operation the surf park is workable. And this is why in the first step, we have the concept, and we have to transfer this concept to the surf leisure park in Berlin, which is our very first park and prototype, and has to prove that the B2B market can be activated.
The B2B potential is in the holding structure in the Surfera GmbH.
That's right. So this is already established, the Surfera GmbH, and the idea is to establish further subsidiaries in the upcoming stages.
So the investor would also participate in this kind of consulting?
Yes,
potential?
Of course, yes.
Yes.
This is the biggest advantage and the biggest benefit when it comes to investors that are ready to invest in these early stages. And I will underpin these benefits with numbers coming on the next slide.
And the B2B potential, would you already start this during the construction time, before you are finished with the project, or could you also envisage to start this potential in between?
The interesting fact is that we already presented on our homepage that we are able to provide the B2B content. And the demand is high for that. So we had a lot of questions from different companies and from different project initiators worldwide that are interested in our concept. And we said, we are able to provide basic services right now. And as you mentioned, as soon as we can prove that our concept is profitable and can really work, we are able to activate the full power of the B2B potential. So to be honest, we start with construction, hopefully in the next 12 to 14 months, and will be completed by 2024. And once this has been proven, we can start the B2B market in 2024. And once we have proven the operational phase, we can start with the B2B for the operation as well in 2025 and ongoing stages. And I can show the numbers in the next slide.
But it was the land, right? And I understood that you're almost close to signing an LOI.
That's true, yes.
Yes.
So actually it is clear that we want to start construction in Berlin-Fürstenwalde, and we want to start the detailed planning after we finish the Series A in the next couple of months. And the idea is to start construction phase within the next 12 to 14 months. And just to make it clear what is the actual structure and how does it work, the typical known structure for this function is that we have two SPVs. So we have just vehicles we use for the holding and for the operation. And in the holding, we have the opportunity to integrate the investors in the Series B level who are able to invest the money to build the surf park. The volume is 18 to 100 million euros. This is what we are required to start the building phase. And the idea is that the subsidiary, the surf area development, will hold a minimum of shares of this established SPV by providing the concept of the surf area surf park for Berlin. And the idea is that these both SPVs are connected to each other using a treatment, which means the operational company, once the building structure, the building phase is completed and the operating will start, that the operating company is actually leasing the surf park to operate it and has to pay an annual rent. And the annual rent will actually fulfill the expectations of the annual yield of the surf park investors. And the important thing is that the actual attractive of the entire investment case will be once the exit scenario is established for the holding company. So we say that currently the annual rent from the operating company to the holding company will fulfill yield expectations around 5% per year. But once, when it comes to the exit scenario, with markup of approximately 30 to 40% compared to the initiated cost, which has been invested by the investors, that will push the yield expectations to more than 10 to 12% breakdown per year, which will make this entire project very attractive, not only for private equity, but also for investors that are regularly investing in a well-known, let's say, real estate projects.
It's a quite high yield. Yeah.
It is. And compared to other projects, like we know it from Tropical Island and we know it from other surf parks, they play the same game. They start with investors investing with a higher risk, of course, yes, because you have to prove the operation. But once the operation is proven and the business case is working and very profitable, the exit scenario is the one which is very attractive for the very first investors. And when we come to the numbers, as I already mentioned, to the real revenue streams for the Surf Area GmbH, to the holding company itself, we say that we have two business fields: the development, which is the subsidiary, and the operation management, which is another subsidiary. And we say in 2021, when we already completed Series A and started with the next planning stages. We already start with completing Series B as well. So we want to complete Series B at the end of 2021. And for this case, we say the business development will earn a commission to establish a fund and attracting investors who are able and who are interested in actually investing into this fund. There will be a commission fee for Surfera, which is the first earning of the Surfera GmbH. And the expenses is the 500,000, which we have to raise in this Series A to cover our costs we have in the next 12 months, as mentioned. And once we completed the surf park itself in 2024, the surf park operation will start. And it will start that we have not only revenue streams from the development, because the development subsidiary, as already mentioned, has a minimum share in the SPV, which is the holding company of the surf park, will actually have earnings from the annual rent. We have another revenue streams from the operation itself, because the subsidiary called Operation and Management will provide a concept to the surf park in Berlin, and the surf park in Berlin has to pay an annual fee for this, which is variable based to the actual business performance. And we provided numbers for the first 5 operational years, and it will end up in an EBITDA starting in 2024 of 430,000 up to 3 million in 2028, which make this case very, very attractive to these investors who are interested in starting making business with us in Series A, which is, of course, considering a higher level of risk than Series B investors, which are actually just investing in the construction phase of the surf park itself. Which will bring us actually to the end of our the project slides until this, because the major topics were to provide some insights in the numbers, insight in our assumptions, and insight in the roadmaps and milestones of the upcoming steps. So I hope I could answer all the questions you might have.
Thanks, Marvin. This was an amazing story, and I think you also have a slide where you have your contact details, and if viewers and investors want to contact you, you see the contacts on the screen, and they can contact you on any question. Please keep us in the loop on any major news, and I think the next news will be getting the land. And
oh yes,
wish you good luck, and we're looking for the next follow-up.
Thanks again for the opportunity to provide very, very attractive insights of our project to this platform. And we are curious about the actual output of your business case, matching ideas, attractive ideas with investors who are seeking for these attractive ideas. And so we are really, really interested, and we will keep you updated about all our steps.
Thank you very much, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. See you, Sanjay.
Hi there, since you watched this company video until the end, I'm guessing you liked the video, and that's probably because we work very hard to create the most engaging and added value content for you. If you're a company and want to find out how we, at Seat 11A, can make a company video with and about you, please email us at content@seat11a.com.